Alrighty, so UFC 322 is just around the corner, but I'm here to give you a different style of video, aka a normal style of video on the channel, okay? So feel free to hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell if you enjoy this video, and any of other videos I've produced on the channel. Now, with that being said, today I wanted to talk about some fighters that I believe deserve a little bit more respect because of their records aging like a fine wine. Now, there's a lot of names you can put. Genuinely, there's a lot of names you can put here, okay? All names are welcome here, okay? But I kind of made this on high-profile top 5 names, if that sort of, if that makes sense to you, okay? So if they're in the top 5 of their division, I'm doing a top 5 on the top 5, if you catch my drift. Now, with that being said, let's get into the picks. I'm going to start with probably the least known name, I think, and that is Sean Brady. Now, this is going to be a nice way to sort of explain my reasoning here. Now, fighters who deserve more respect, the way I'm justifying it is either their losses aren't that bad or their wins are really, really good, okay? And they've been just aging better and better as time goes on, and will probably age even better. So, think Kamaru Usman, Joaquin Buckley. If you wanted to put Kamaru Usman here, I get it, okay? He beat Joaquin Buckley. He's got a win over Sean Strickland. People forget, man. So, yeah, you know, I'm not going to judge you for that, but I did this as, like, this is obviously biased, my own opinion, but there's going to be a lot of names here that I just genuinely think they need a little bit more respect on their name, because, you know, a lot of disrespect thrown towards some of these boys. All right, so let's get into it. Sean Brady, he's here for a few reasons. Number one, he's got a nice win streak going, but he's also got some good fucking wins, man. You know, and I feel like when we're talking about welterweight, Sean Brady is like the odd duckling, the ugly duckling, you know? Not that he's ugly, Sean Brady, if you're watching this, I'm not, you know, don't submit me in public. Anyways. Yeah, when we look at Sean Brady, bro, he's number 2. That's kind of wild to think about. People are all like, like right now, I think the narrative right now is Shavkat Rakhmonov, or Ian Gary off a win. I think, who the fuck is Ian Gary fighting? Ian Gary's fighting someone, isn't he? He's got somebody coming up. No, he beat Carlos Prates. He's fighting Bilal Muhammad. That's right. That's right. You can't script this shit. I actually forgot his name. That's fun. you can't script this shit. Anyways, anyways. Yeah. Sean Brady trains with Joe Pyfer, Small Peen Pyfer, as we know him. Body bags. No body cam on. Pyfer, but Sean Brady is like the odd one out here, you know? Bilal Muhammad, he's fighting Ian Gary now. We can forget that fight, but if Ian Gary wins, he's probably next in line, right? Shavkat Rakhmonov, it's assumed he's next in line because of his win streak, and he hasn't lost, and he pulled out, I think, due to, or he didn't say yes to the fight because he actually had I want to say it was a torn ACL or something with his ankle. I think it was a torn Achilles heel, if I'm not mistaken. But with that being the case, we also have, not Leon Edwards, that guy's, he's kind of fallen off, never to return. But Kamaru Usman throwing his hat in the mix. And I know logical MMA fans who watch the sport, we're obviously saying, no, that's undeserved. We know the types that are saying Kamaru Usman deserves that shot. But regardless, you know, Buckley, if he gets back in the win column, people forget, man, Buckley was very active for a long period of time. He's probably back at the drawing board. And I think if he goes on a win streak, he's in the mix. Michael Morales is in the mix. If he gets a win over Sean Brady, which is Sean Brady's next opponent, and people, you know, I gotta stop saying that. But yeah, Sean Brady taking on Michael Morales. Very interesting fight, but that's not only why I'm picking Sean Brady, as like he deserves a little bit more respect now that he's taking on a young, undefeated prospect. He's also, he out-grappled Kelvin Gastelum, submitted him. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this, yeah, I know Kelvin Gastelum sucks. I don't think Kelvin Gastelum's fucking good, but this was at Kelvin Gastelum's natural weight class of 170. Okay, so he did not look like this, let me tell you. Okay, and he got masterclassed in the grappling. Absolutely whooped in the grappling. And Kelvin Gastelum, and I know you're thinking, oh, but it's Kelvin. Kelvin Gastelum, to his credit, hasn't been finished in like 4 years until he got I guess 3 years, until he got submitted via Sean Brady. His last submission loss was to Jack Hermanson way back when. But regardless of that, it's pretty fucking, I think we can all admit, especially after that Dustin Soltis fight, it's pretty fucking hard to get Kelvin Gastelum out of there. So for Sean Brady to be able to do that, and so early into the fight, it's kind of fucking, okay, it wasn't that early. I remember it being round 2. I guess it was round 3. Regardless, he did submit Kelvin Gastelum, and Gastelum's now back in the win column. And for some fucking reason, they're keeping this fat fuck around, even though he misses weight at 185. Justice for Brian Battle, that's all I'm saying. But yeah, you know, the Gilbert Burns win is also very impressive. Yeah, it was a boring 5-round performance, but he did legit out-grapple Gilbert Burns. And we have not seen that happen in quite some time against Gilbert Burns. And Gilbert Burns, famously, was up 2 rounds against JDM. And JDM needed a finish, got the finish. JDM's now the champion. Gilbert Burns was the one who held him down for 2 rounds. What the fuck do you think Sean Brady's gonna do? Okay? And that's just me saying Sean Brady's got legit odds of beating JDM right now. And I feel like he's sort of just being pushed under the rug. Like nobody cares about this kid. You know? And I get it. He sounds like a nerd on the mic. Alright? He's not the best looker. Okay? Kind of looks like Bedtime MMA now that I look about it. You know? If you fix his nose. It kind of looks like Bedtime MMA. Am I crazy? Anyways. But great wins against like Jake Matthews. He's been around for a while. You know, Gilbert Urbina beat on LFA, which I think Gilbert Urbina is also in the UFC now. So there's some decent wins in here that sort of get into the mix of him being sneaky good, man. And some of these wins are like Gilbert, like, yeah, he beat Gilbert Burns, but he out-grappled Gilbert Burns. Not a lot of people do that to the famous Gilbert Burns, okay? And I rate Gilbert Burns pretty highly, even though he got smoked by Michael Morales and a few others, but yeah, I just think it's interesting. And he slaughtered Leon Edwards. And this is the thing with the Leon Edwards performance. He did kill Leon Edwards. Like, that was, I think I had 2 10-8 rounds, a 10-9, and then obviously the round where Sean Brady finished him. Sean Brady whooped Leon Edwards, and even had success on the feet. He got, like, yeah, in the Ball fight, he got caught. In the Leon Edwards fight, he dominated, okay? But, yeah, Sean Brady whooped Leon Edwards, and I know what you're saying, Leon sucks. Bah, well, he sucks. I get it. Leon also has been training for anti-grappling and against grapplers for, like, his whole fucking career, okay? Outside of the Jorge Masvidal fight, you got Nate Diaz. That's a grappler. You know, you can count on him now. I get it. Kamaru Usman, twice. And Colby Covington. Those are 3 grapplers in 4 fights. You know? Leon Edwards fought a lot of, maybe, yeah, I'd say highly skilled grapplers. You know, Colby Covington is a good wrestler. Kamaru Usman's a good grappler as well. Good wrestler. And Nate Diaz is a good grappler. And you know, Gunnar Nelson's even in there. So there's a lot of interesting matches Leon Edwards had to prepare for where he was defending against a lot of grappling. And Sean Brady made Leon Edwards literally look like he's never grappled before in his day in his life. Bilal Muhammad, another one, you know? So it's just like, Sean Brady, yeah, he lost to Bilal Muhammad via TKO because he didn't shoot a takedown. But if Sean Brady shoots a takedown, bro, this guy might be fucking unbeatable. You know, so that's just my personal opinion. I think Sean Brady deserves a lot more respect. I get it, he's a little soy based on the way he talks and in interviews and shit. He just sounds like a fucking nerd. Looks like Bedtime MMA. That's no offense to Bedtime MMA. Just saying facts. But yeah, that's my first pick of the top 5. That's number 5. Moving on to number 4. Sergey Pavlovich. The man I believed would beat Tom Aspinall. Okay, I'll say it. All right. And listen, lost to Alistair Overeem in his debut, and then he just fucking slaughtered everyone until he got to Tom Aspinall. That's a fact. He was the Russian Aspinall at the time. Okay? He wasn't as fast, he wasn't as clean, but he was killing people. You know? And to do that to Tai Tuivasa, a clean KO from Sergey Pavlovich on Tai Tuivasa when Cyril Gane, okay, some people are glazing now, okay, some people are glazing Cyril Gane for some reason, all of a sudden, okay, we're glazing Cyril Gane for eye poking, but it's okay. Cyril Gane had to illegally strike Tai Tuivasa down 2 rounds in the 3rd round, to even drop Tai. Pavlovich made this guy go out cold. Pavlovich also smoked Curtis Blades. I think he stuffed a takedown and then smoked him afterwards. That is aging like a fine wine. Curtis Blades has gone on to do great things. Even the Kuniev fight, he won even though he had a torn ACL. I have no doubt Curtis Blades is going to remain in the top 5, top 10 of heavyweight for quite some time. Lost to Tom Aspinall, no sweat off his back. Lost to Volkov, no sweat off his back. That was his first time, I think, ever going to decision in the UFC. Yeah, against Volkov. Very impressive to see Pavlovich, a guy a lot of people expected him to gas out in round 1, to make it to the 3rd, swing back, showcase a great chin. Volkov's a great name that we'll get to. But yeah, and this was a friendly matchup that may be a little too emotional from the Pavlovich side. I get it. But yeah, Pavlovich did well, all things considered, in the Volkov fight, He broke ground that we didn't know he had, there. He showcased more tools in the bag than we knew of, He can go 3 rounds. He can be a little bit more technical, He just ended up getting outranged by the bigger dude. It happens. Then Jairzinho Rozenstruik, a kickboxer, he ends up out-grappling. Hey, look who's a wrestler. But, in seriousness, Pavlovich comes out with a wrestling game plan. I don't think anyone would have fucking predicted that, okay? I for sure shit wouldn't have predicted that. I thought he was going to go in there, smoke Jairzinho Rozenstruik. I was still right that he beat Jairzinho Rozenstruik, and Jairzinho got cut for losing 1 fight, yet we keep Tai Tuivasa for losing 5 in a row. You know how it goes, guys. At least he's killing at BKFC. Shout out to Jairzinho Rozenstruik and his fucking food truck. I think he's got great guy, But and then we get on to Waldo Cortez Acosta, and another reason why I had Pavlovich here as, bro, people forget. We got to start putting respect on Pavlovich's name. He's on a 2-fight win streak since his loss to the champ, and the guy who's going to challenge the champ next in Alexander Volkov, in my personal opinion. That's how I see it going, but, yeah, he's on a 2-fight win streak. 1 more win, he's in the title shot contention, And he's back in the title shot. And Waldo Cortez Acosta just flatlined Aspinall's teammate, what's his name? I don't remember his name. Ante Delija. He smoked Ante Delija. Smoked him! There's some circumstances around that fight. Eye poke, adrenaline dump, stuff like that. But he did smoke him, And Waldo's got a good record. Even though I hate Waldo, it's still a good fucking win to have on your record. Beating Waldo in a unanimous decision. I thought they were going to give it a split for sure. But, yeah, I thought he beat Waldo pretty clearly. Yeah, he pushed the pace on Waldo. He ate Waldo's shots. And, where's Waldo? He ended up finding him a few times and cracking Waldo pretty bad. So, it was very interesting to see Pavlovich go 3 rounds with another striker as well. So, this is a very tough striker. Arguably, the best chin at heavyweight right now is Waldo Cortez Acosta. And Pavlovich clearly beat him in a striking match. So, this is a very interesting record we got here for Sergey Pavlovich. So I just think, listen, he lost to Alistair Overeem. I get it. He lost to Aspinall Volkov. Those are some of the best heavyweights to ever grace this planet. Okay? Maybe not Overeem, because that was, I think, after the roid stuff. So, little debut jitters. It happens. Just look at JDM. Lost his first 2. And then, the great Adrian Adrian Martins fucking smoked Islam in the UFC, so it is what it is. Some people just lose their debut. Aspinall and Volkov are genuinely the 2 best heavyweights on the planet right now, in my opinion. I think they both beat Gane. I think they did both beat Gane. Let's get that out of the way. Aspinall didn't beat Gane. I just meant Volkov beat Gane. But I meant to say John Jones. Yeah, I do think Aspinall Volkov would beat John Jones. I'd pick him to beat him. Hey, call me dumb for it. That's just my opinion. Moving on, the 3rd name on my list, top 3 over here, okay, is Alexander Volkov. Bro, this guy's record is insane. He's got, number 1, he's 6'7", so he had to make an appearance, guys. Fuck, man, that meme is so dumb. But he's getting up there in age, 37, kind of an unk. Dog, 39-11 is a crazy record, and a lot of that is in the UFC. People forget, man. This guy, are they going to show it here? They don't show it here. This guy lost to Khabib in his early career, okay? We're talking like youngsters age, okay? This guy's got fighting in his blood. But obviously, that's not why he made an appearance. He got smoked against Aspinall. It is what it is. He lost against Cyril Gane, and not really a close fight, but he did lose the fight. But he came back and beat Cyril Gane in the rematch. I don't give a fuck what you say. Cyril Gane beating Volkov is one of the worst robberies I've seen. Maybe, yeah, I'd probably put it up there. I'd say top 5, top 10 robberies I've seen as my 3 years experience in the game here. But yeah, I think he clearly beat Cyril Gane in the rematch. So I think he's proven that he's second best heavyweight on the planet, and the only one who's better than him would be Tom Aspinall. And then if you look back, yeah, he's lost to Curtis Blades. He needs that rematch, I think, in order to sort of get his get back. Yeah, Curtis Blades. And he also got KO'd by Derek Lewis. I don't know what you're saying. All right, he got KO'd by Derek Lewis? Why the fuck does that matter? He whooped Derek Lewis until he got right hand when he dropped his hand for 1 second. That's what happens when you go against a knockout artist in Derek Lewis, okay? But outside of that, man, people forget, man. He's beat the Reem, who beat Pavlovich in his debut. He's beat Marcin Tybura, which is an impressive win to have in hindsight, because Marcin Tybura is a good, crafty vet who, more often than not, fraud checks a lot of the up-and-comers, and he's been doing it for a while. Another unk in the sport. Then lost to Aspinall. And I remember in the Jairzinho Rosenstruik, very impressive win. But after the Rosenstruik win, I think he was a pick'em in the Romanov fight. He whooped Romanov. Romanov ended up being a fat slob. I think he got cut from the sport, if I'm not mistaken. Then he submits Tai Tuivasa, so he's showcasing a little bit of a grappling game. And then he has a war with Pavlovich, and it goes a distance. And he survives Pavlovich, which, other than Aspinall at the time, nobody else did. It's interesting, man. He's the one who sort of took that power from Pavlovich, in a way, And then the Jolton Almeida fight, he clearly won that fight, even though he was on bottom a lot of that fight. Jolton Almeida was just dumb, So I think, man, Volkov is really up there. And to be honest, if you asked me, if you sat me in a room and we're looking at like title contenders for heavyweight, and we're looking at, you have Aspinall as the champ, and here's the 5 contenders. You have Cyril Gane. I don't think he wins in the rematch that's going to happen. You have Derek Lewis, which one more fight and we're talking about title contention, apparently. A lot of people are, so that's probably going to happen. Thanks, UFC. I don't think Derek Lewis stands a fucking chance. And then you have Jolton Almeida, just lost, bum, get him out. And then Curtis Blades in a trilogy. I just don't see it. I don't think Curtis Blades stands a chance against Aspinall in a trilogy. And then 5th, and last but not least, you have Volkov. Out of those 5 contenders, Cyril Gane, blah, 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 I think Volkov has the best odds of beating Aspinall. Call me crazy, but that's my personal opinion. So yeah, he's here because I think a lot of his losses either have aged like fine wine. You have a champion here. You have someone who's challenged for the belt, now going to be 4 times. And then you have someone who's about to challenge for the belt, and Curtis Blades is one of the better heavyweights on the roster as well. We don't have to go too far back. Like, this is 10 years ago. Who cares? Number 2, as my record should get more respected, is Diego Lopez. People, I cannot tell you the amount of narratives I saw in this Gene Silva fight. Oh my god. Okay. Listen. You can say, yeah, he lost Volkanovski. Some people are calling that a robbery. I don't think it was a robbery. Volkanovski, I thought very clearly won a 3-2. Could have been a 4-1, but 3-2. And the 5th round was close. Lopez could have got another round there. But I do think Volk won the fight, and Diego Lopez was headhunting a little too much, trying to get a counter shot, trying to get, that one shot to put down Volk, and Volk just had the chin from the gods that night. But went over Brian Ortega, slept him in round 1, woke him up just so he could masterclass him for 2 rounds. Impressive performance. The great Aljamain Sterling couldn't beat Brian Ortega in a more impressive way. And then whooped Dan Ige. Whooped Dan Ige for 2 rounds. 3rd round he lost. But that was a very circumstantial fight. He had to make weight he had to make weight twice and swapped opponents, I think 3 times with all in 24 hours. A lot of shit for a fighter to go through. We all know how brutal it is to make weight, and then find out you're at catch weight, and then find out your opponent changed, and now it's changed again within a few hours of the fight. It's a little insane. But, you know, Lopez got it done. Sadiq Yusuf smoked him. That hasn't aged too great. Pat Sabatini smoked him. Aged pretty well. Pat Sabatini's gone on to beat some good prospects. Joe Anderson Brito, I think his name is. Stuff like that. And then his loss in the UFC, Movsar Evloev, short notice, debut, and is the reason why Movsar Evloev fights once a year, because he blew out his fucking knee. Aura! Okay? And people still shit on him for losing to Movsar. Kind of crazy. Then the Volkanovski fight. I picked him to beat Volkanovski. Listen, he lost the fight. Okay. Yeah, he couldn't find the shot to put down Volkanovski. In the Gene Silva fight, it's going to age like fine wine, because Gene Silva, I'm predicting to go and do great things. I picked Diego Lopez to beat Gene Silva. What were these narratives during this fight, man? And this is really why he's so high up here, because the amount of narratives I heard on the Gene Silva side were crazy. People were talking about Diego Lopez like he couldn't even beat Gene Silva's comp. You put Bryce Mitchell, Malsik Bogdasarian, and fucking Drew Dober in there with Lopez, they're dead in round 1. You know? And if we're just talking about grappling, like, Gene Silva's struggled with grapplers, and people are trying to make arguments that, like, that didn't matter, and Diego Lopez doesn't even grapple that much. He grappled in the Ortega fight, clearly looking for a submission, couldn't get it. The Volk fight, he didn't grapple a lot, but I think he's learned since then. And then he smokes Gene Silva in the second round after a dominant round 1 performance, you know? And yeah, he was getting cracked. His hair doesn't help him, because his hair is, like, sporadic, goes everywhere. But, yeah, like, he whooped Gene Silva, as I predicted, round 2 KO. Called that shit. Hey, round of applause for myself. But I don't get why people were shitting on Lopez so hard. I get it if you're on the Silva side because of hype, fighting nerds. He's the one to make it. But Diego Lopez is fucking good, in prime, fast, probably one of the fastest strikers, and I still think he's got decent odds to beat Ilya if Ilya stayed at featherweight. Okay. Just saying. So, I think Lopez's record really needs a lot more respect than people are giving him. Bro, whatever Lopez wants, give him. If he wants Arnold Allen, Yair Rodriguez for revenge with that whole team drama, Lerone Murphy, any name, I think Diego Lopez should get him. He's earned it. But yeah, then we get on to the last one. The king of all kings of records that need to be respected. Sean Strickland. People forget, man, okay? Despite what a lot of people don't like about him on Twitter, because he yaps a lot, and sometimes he's a little fucking annoying when he goes on and makes every issue about himself. I get it. His record is vintage. His record is a crafty vet fucking vintage wine record, okay? About to be 35, probably during his next fight. Rumor is he's taking on Fluffy Hernandez, which is a great prospect to take on. Sean Strickland lost to Dricus du Plessis the first time. One of the closest fights I've ever witnessed. And what I mean by that is I genuinely think you could have given either fighter the win that night, a draw, whatever, purely based on how close that fight was. I thought every round was pretty fucking close. And there's arguments for both sides who won that fight. And I'm going to say Strickland got robbed because it promotes a narrative here that I can say his record ages like a fine wine, even better. In the rematch, people forget, man, he did have staph infection. I don't know why people are just forgetting this. Oh, he got whooped by Dricus du Plessis. What do you think Hamzat's going to do to him? Dog. Strickland very clearly had staph infection. One of his quotes, somebody asked him, do you have staph infection? We've been seeing a lot of this, imagery of an injury on your shoulder or whatever. Do you have staph infection, Sean Strickland? What would you like to say to that comment? And he's like, I don't get staph infection. I give staph infection. How do you give staph infection if you don't have staph infection? Just saying. Anyways, it's a little interesting, but Yeah, you know, and I know what you're saying. Oh, you know, Dricus Duplessis, it's a whatever thing. I think Dricus is going to go on and do great things, but it's an interesting situation. Lost the rematch because he had a staph infection, but we know Strickland's not going to pull out. He's a short notice guy anyways. Dricus Duplessis, he whooped Adesanya on the feet. You can be Kenny Okopier and say, anyway, the style mismatch. That's why you won. That's the only reason, guys. No. Strickland is genuinely just a better striker. Swallow. I know, tough pill to swallow. You're gonna have to swallow it at some point. We all know you swallow something, all right, Kenny Okopier. But anyways, I'm joking. Don't take offense to it. Um, anyways, yeah, he whooped Israel Adesanya for 3 rounds straight, or 5 rounds straight. Sorry, I'm blanking. Dropped him in round 1, and I know at the time I wasn't doing predictions. Oh my god, I had this fucking mint. I said he was going to drop him early, and I said he was going to win a decision. A friend of mine won like $1,500, or it was like $1,200 or some shit like that based off that prediction. That guy went to Japan afterwards. Fucking bastard. Anyways, but beat Abus Magomedov, short notice. That's aged pretty well. Abus, I think, is he ranked in middleweight now? He is not ranked, but I think he's like pretty close to being ranked. And then obviously he beat Nasruddin Imavov, #1 contender. Also smoked Israel Adesanya. Jeez, I wonder if Israel is a good striker or not, guys. Anyways, so arguably welterweight goat, guys, or middleweight goat. Fuck, my brain's getting melted right now. But yeah, lost to Pereira. Cannonier, I thought he won the fight. I don't know how he lost it. It comes down to round 1, in my opinion, and Strickland had the fucking back in round 1 of Cannonier. I don't know how Cannonier won that, but it is what it is. Cannonier's gone on to do some crafty vet things. Lost to Alex Pereira by KO. I get it. He's beat Jack Hermanson, who beat Joe Pyfer. Great fucking win. Aged like fine wine. I know Jack Hermanson got slept recently, but you get my point. He's beat a prospect. You know? And then you have Brandon Allen, the RDR Slayer. And then you have, what's his name? Kamaru Usman lost. Where's the other one? What am I thinking of? Is this all the ones I'm thinking of? I think this is all the ones I'm thinking of. Jack Hermanson, Nasruddin Imavov, Abus, Israel Adesanya, and you have Brendan Allen. Like, this is a crazy aged like fine wine. Like, he TKO'd Brendan Allen. Since then, yeah, Brendan's got cracked a few times. I think that might be the last person to KO Brendan Allen. Could have been Curtis Blades. Chris Curtis. I always mix up that name. Could have been Chris Curtis, been the last one to TKO, but I'm pretty sure it was Sean Strickland. Yeah, these wins have aged like a fine wine. Brendan Allen's like 1 or 2 fights away from the belt. Imavov is in line for the belt. Abus Magomedov, he's pretty far from the belt, but he's doing things in the unranked crafty vet category. Israel Adesanya, one of the greatest middleweights of all time. One of the greatest middleweights of all time. We can all agree there, so it is a little interesting. Paulo Costa went on to do great things after that win as well. Shouldn't have been a split. This was a very clear Strickland. He was like minus 5,000 before they gave the announcement. Or it was like minus 3,000, something ridiculous. Regardless, that is my pick for the craftiest vets here. And just like fighters who records, I genuinely think deserve a lot more respect than people do. You can shit on Strickland for his Twitter antics. He is a legit fighter who's got some really good aging wins. Lopez, I think everyone's off the Lopez hate train. Conveniently in MMA, it's a lot of this guy sucks, that guy good whenever your fighter's against somebody. But I think Lopez is the real deal. I think a lot of people are respecting his record a little bit more and not coming up with clown shit like his opponent's record is better than Lopez's record, even though Lopez literally was just killing people. It's just pissed me off. Anyways, you know, Alexander Volkov, one of the best heavyweights on the planet. A lot of people aren't giving him a lot of respect. I still see a lot of people in real life talk shit about Volkov, say he's a bum. Same thing with Sergey Pavlovich. 1 win, and this guy's in the title contention. Sean Brady, just a not unforgettable, a forgotten gem. All right, so that's been my picks for underrated records here, records that deserve a lot more respect. If you made it to the end of this video, I want to thank you for watching, and as always, hope you have a good day.